Hey everyone, it's Ryder from Skip. It's Wednesday, September 22nd. We've got a great video today. I'm going to be answering your questions as it relates to small business funding, specifically SBA programs like the EIDL, RRF. And this includes many pressing questions. And if you appreciate the research myself and our team does every single day to give you these in-depth daily videos, be sure to hit the like button here. If we get 2,000 likes, I'll be doing another Q&A later this week, and hit the subscribe button below to join our community. Okay, I'm going to dive right in. Stick around because we've got RRF questions, EIDL 2.0 questions, collateral, forms, portal issues, business insurance, and so much more. I'll go through each one quickly. Let's dive in no particular order. Question from Thomas. Hey Skip, will they reopen the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, aka grant? And what options are there for qualified people who got left out? So back in June 11th, right here, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which helped hundreds of thousands of restaurants around the US, unfortunately left out millions that absolutely needed the help. And there were even those 3,000 businesses that had the RRF offer rescinded after they were told they're going to get grants. They got it taken back because of some of the lawsuits. Anyway, the Replenishment Act was introduced to Congress to provide RF with an additional $60 billion. We're tracking the bill here in Congress.gov, HR 4568. The Entree Act. The last action was July 20th when it was introduced in the House. There has been no movement since then. We're keeping an eye on it. We know so many restaurants are in need of this funding. Many of you applied and were left out, but as of now, nothing has been approved. Number 2 from Starfleet Command. So what happens after being denied again after reconsideration? Well, the good news is if you believe you are eligible for EIDL loans, you can go through reconsideration again. You know, at the beginning of September, there were EIDL rule changes that corresponded with EIDL 2.0 and the increase in the EIDL loan limit. Part of those rules made it easier for you to apply again for reconsideration. So the first thing I would say is you should look and see what the denial reason was. Chances are it may be unverifiable information because that's kind of the catch-all denial or reason the SBA has been doing. But take a look at that, see if you understand why you were denied. If you're still in touch with the loan officer by email or by phone, ask them if they can provide more clarity. A lot of the times they can't, but it can't hurt to try. And again, if you think it's an issue with your transcript or bank information, something like that where you believe perhaps the SBA system incorrectly flagged your application and therefore denied it, you can reconsider. Again, these new rules made it easier to have a second or a third look. Here's how the rule was changed right here. If SBA declines your application a second time, you have the right to appeal in writing to the Director, Disaster Assistance Processing and Disbursement Center, or the Director Designee. So that broadened it to say it's not just up to the director. The SBA can broaden who can have another look. So reconsider again. Of course, if you need help with any of these in depth, if you want to talk to one of us, go to EIDL.me. You can join the waiting list. We're fully booked this week. We're opening up slots probably later today for either Friday, over the weekend, or next week. It's one-on-one support, EIDL.me. That's EIDL.me. Link below, because many of you have questions. Should you change the reconsideration letter? How should you tweak it? Sam asked this, what are some other grants or loans that we can apply for other than the EIDL increase? So I'll briefly show you here on the Skip website, and you can find all of this on our app as well. You can download it for free on the App Store or Google Play. Just search Hello Skip or use the links below. So the first thing you can do is set up your funding tracker here, and you can track your funding, see our latest post, and see new funding opportunities. So right here you can see new funding opportunities, low interest loans, lines of credits. I'll let it cycle through here. We curate a lot of these micro grants for women of color. So grants, loans, and other opportunities that we think are worthwhile, we put here. We have a dedicated team looking these up. So if it's out there and we think it's worthwhile, we're going to find it and put it on our website and our app. So that would be my first recommendation. Even just trying to pay attention to the EIDL program, you know, is almost a full-time job. So if we can make it easier by finding grants, loans, funding for you, helping explain it, and personally helping you, we're all for it. Can you get more grant money after you've received all 3 grants? Can you still get a PPP loan? The quick answer is no and no. Thanks for the question, Belinda. She's referring to the SBA program specifically. So if you've gotten the original EIDL, then you got the targeted 10K and the additional 5K for the supplemental grant. You met the extra income decline threshold to get that extra 5K. That's all there is right now. There's no indication that the SBA will do any more advanced programs. That was specifically designed during the CARES Act last year, and it kind of carried over in the December legislation and the March legislation to say businesses still need help. To help businesses with quick cash, of course, we know for many of you, it's anything but quick, and PPP is over at the moment. Again, no indication that there'll be any new programs. Again, there's no indication that there will be a new PPP round. I personally doubt there would be. The SBA's focus, it seems right now, is on EIDL loans, and helping as many people get through the loan process as possible. Please find out about the reissuing of already approved funds. I was approved 4 months ago, but the funds were returned because it wasn't aimed at a quote business account. Now the account is fixed. I mentioned this last week. It's a major issue. As Laura mentions, there are thousands of us, thousands of you who've had this issue mismatch, and your bank rejected it. It's a tricky situation. According to a loan officer I heard from last week, they said while the SBA initiates the initial approval and authorizes the transfer, if it gets rejected, that money goes back to the Treasury. So in terms of getting that funding back, it is complicated. I'm going to try to get more clarity on what exactly you can do to proactively get that money back, because I know it's a terrible situation. Eugene asked this: I was thinking I would qualify if my business address has recently changed to a low-income community. Eugene's referring to the EIDL grants, specifically the targeted EIDL grants. Now, officially, it's going to be based on your business address in 2019, but we have heard differences. So let's say you moved from a low-income community in 2019 to a not low-income area in 2020. We've heard in some cases the SBA would see that and say, well, you don't qualify anymore. I think there are various edge cases here, but if your business address on your 2019 tax returns not in a low-income community, you don't have a very good shot at the targeted grants. I know there are exceptions to this. I've heard exceptions to this, but what I would say is I would not relocate your business now to try to get a grant. We've had people ask about this. I wouldn't do that just for the sake of this program. Of course, if you find a better location, a better rent somewhere else, it happens to be in a low-income area, then hey, go for it. But for the sake of trying to get these grants, I wouldn't change business locations just to try to get several $1,000s or more. Gold asks, seeking startup grants, anything out there? Gold, as mentioned, I'd say go check out our funding tracker, both on our app or on our website. Twice a week, we do small business grant and loan roundup. Basically, we do them every Monday and Thursday. Here's the one we did on Monday, where you can see we curate some new opportunities. For example, there's a new $1,000 grant from Idea Cafe, new $500 grant matching for all small businesses, grant and free digital readiness program from Verizon, and state-specific ones as well, 10K grants for Arizona businesses, 10K grants for businesses in certain parts of Texas. So Gold, I'd check that out first. Tony asks, is this grant in addition to the 15K grants I already received? No, this is just another push for the same program. So if you've already received 10K or 15K, this is not new grant funding. Just to be clear, those last two videos are really geared towards the millions of folks out there that still haven't gotten funding but may be eligible. So double check, tell a friend. That's the main takeaway there. Sam asks, EIDL 2.0, the collateral situation. Okay, here's what we've heard. SBA loan officers will evaluate collateral on a case-by-case basis. So if you don't have real estate, which is the common collateral used, that's okay. According to what we've heard, they will still evaluate your assets and liabilities and use that to make a determination. Now, the second piece is you should have assets that equal your loan amount you're asking for. So if you're asking for an increase up to $1 million, the SBA will likely want to see that you have assets equivalent to $1 million. That can potentially be used as collateral. So I believe they'll be looking for that. However, we've also read text that the SBA will not decline loans due to lack of collateral. We hear different messages, but I do know it's not all about real estate. There are alternatives, and loan officers will work with you on a case-by-case basis. When we get more insight there or some early examples, I'll cover them. Dino says this: if you don't own collateral, can you still get approved for $2 million EIDL loan increase? So just answered that, but yes, there is still a shot. As I learn more, I'll let you know. James says he's having lots of issues getting a loan from the SBA. His last sentence here: what do I need to do to speed up the process or speak with an actual loan agent? We know for many of you it's taking months. You're on the phone, you're sending emails. Being proactive does help. It's not a guarantee, but you can call in and see where you're at. I always like to know, where is the holdup? Is it a tax transcript issue? That's typically what it is. The SBA is still waiting for a tax transcript from the IRS. A lot of people are in that bucket. Once they have that, they have everything else they need. A loan officer can review your entire package and maybe call you or email you if they have questions. But James, I hope things speed up for you and you get approved soon. Troy says, my portal says the SBA requested my 2019 tax return from the IRS on September 13th. About how long will it take the SBA to receive my return from the IRS? Thanks for the question, Troy. As many people know, it can take months. We think finally the system has improved. The efficiency on getting transcripts from the IRS to the SBA has improved. Things have sped up. So hopefully now we're talking weeks, not months. We know for a while it was months. But to be honest, I don't think there's a lot of rhyme or reason there. Some people get it sent back within a few days. Maybe it's a couple weeks. And then some people have been waiting 2 or 3 or even 4 months to get that tax transcript from the IRS. Now here's a good question from Suhab. Do you need insurance other than the business insurance for a loan increase? If so, what kind of insurance do I need? So officially, in the EIDL loan closing documents, you need to have hazard insurance. It says it in the fine print. Hopefully you all read the EIDL loan closing document in detail. Maybe I'll go through it in a future detail just to make sure you know what to expect, especially with repayment. You do not want to mess that up next year when repayments start. But they also say you should have hazard insurance. Some loan officers asked for proof of that before approval. Some didn't. So it's kind of a mixed bag there, but I'd say at some point you should get that. I'm going to try to find out more about the requirement around hazard insurance, like if there are any exceptions there, but as of now, it is in the legal document. Igor asks, any information about adjustments on PPP programs that was given based on Schedule C, line 31, and then changed to gross income? Is SBA going to give people the difference that those people are totally eligible for? Great question, Igor. We know this was a major issue back in the spring when the SBA changed how you could calculate your eligible PPP loan amount. Basically, instead of taking your net income, which would have been a lower amount on your Schedule C, you could take your gross income, multiply that by 2.5 to calculate your PPP loan amount. But many people who used the net income got the loan, and then they tried to go back and get the increase when the rule was changed, but were left out. Igor, no word yet. I know some lawmakers are aware of it. They're talking about it, but as of now, there's no changes. Chicago Bear asks, could you please share an insurance company that issues business insurance required by SBA for its EIDL loans? Great point, Chicago Bear. We do have a few partners. I'll share those in an upcoming video, so be sure to subscribe. We'll also post our partners on the app or website. Master4999 asked, if I received a target advance due to meeting all criteria and living in a low-income area, will I have to give that back if I have moved to a non-low-income area? As far as I know, no. When you applied in good faith based on your eligibility criteria. You got the funding, and that was tied to your business address that you filed on your tax return. Lots of people move just because you moved after getting the grants. As far as I know, that should not affect your eligibility for EIDL grants, so I think you're good there. But like I said, it's not future looking. You applied and were approved based on eligibility for this moment in time. What happens in 6 months or a year, you move to another state, that's your prerogative. Of course, with EIDL loans, there are rules about moving. Anthony says the problem is these banks. How am I supposed to apply for forgiveness if the institution that financed us won't allow for it? Anthony, I'd love to know what lender you used. Yes, a lot of lenders are slow, and I'm assuming this is for round 2. Hopefully, if you got round 1 for PPP, you've been forgiven or gone through that. But I know some lenders are slower than others. They're still trying to figure it out on their own. But definitely get in touch with your lender. If they're dragging their feet, you can ask them, hey, can I use the direct forgiveness portal? But it does come down to your lender. So I would check with them first and ask them what's going on, when you can expect to apply for forgiveness. Mark asks, why is the PPP forgiven but the EIDL is not? The EIDL loan, it must be forgiven. That at a minimum is fair. Same standards as needed. And where's the balance of the grant as promised to all the small business people, not just targeted? Mark, I know a lot of people share the same sentiment, the 10K for all type push. Now, the PPP was a unique program. These are different programs. The EIDL has been around for a while in the SBA, so it's not changed there. These are low interest loans. Yes, we know lots of businesses are struggling. So one argument may be, well, there was Shutter Venue Operators Grant, there was Restaurant Revitalization Fund. What about other hard-hit industries that have been affected that need grants to stabilize as opposed to loans? So there's an argument there. I'd say lawmakers are aware of this. If you want to push lawmakers to try to change some of this. But frankly, I don't see these program structures changing, turning into a forgivable loan. I just don't see that happening. If you had an EIDL increase, can you apply for another increase? Tim asked this. Yes, you can. Check out some of the recent videos from last week or the week before on EIDL 2.0. It depends how much you've gotten and how much your 2019 revenue was, because the EIDL loan is a function of your 2019 revenue. Basically, take your 2019 revenue, multiply it by 2. We have a calculator on our website. Go to EIDL2.com or just go to our dashboard and click EIDL loan increase calculator. You can put in 2019 revenue, COGS, funding received to date, and calculate your EIDL loan increase potential. Okay, almost on here. A few more important questions, so stick around. Tabitha asks about collateral. So I can imagine they will want your house for sure for $2 million. Again, if you have property, then the answer is probably yes. They will want to use your house or whatever property you have as collateral. I already talked a little bit about that. Tiffany asks, so what if you didn't make $500,000? Do you not get a second increase? Again, you can use our calculator. So let's say you made $500K in 2019. Again, like I said, 24 months of working capital. So double that, subtract any funding you already received. In this example, $150K. You'd be eligible for up to $850,000. So Tiffany, I checked that out first. James asks, is there a second EIDL loan that's happening in addition to the first one? Or are you just saying the maximum has been increased from $500 to $2 million? Yes, that's correct, James. It's the same pot of money. At the end of the day, if you apply for an increase, you will still have one loan agreement with the SBA, but it will be modified. So if you hit 500K and you're eligible for more EIDL funding, you can apply. The SBA will start reviewing those in a few weeks. There's a handful of more documents they require for this, but if you are approved, the SBA will send you a loan modification letter and a new loan modification document that you will sign that will replace the previous loan agreement. Finally, last question today. Hello, Ryder and team. Thanks for all your great works. Thank you, Ben. I have an issue with my loan. The SBA sent me an email by reducing my loan that was already increased. How do you appeal that? Great question, Ben. Would love to know more of the specifics, but we have heard this happen. In general, if you are eligible for a larger amount based on your 2019 revenue and cost of goods, you should be able to get it. So this would be a reconsideration case where you would either want to email back your loan officer to ask them about this, or email in reconsideration to PDC Recons and the other COVID EIDL increase email. Those are all on our app. And like I said, if anyone needs help going through this, you want one-on-one support, even for a short period of time, we want to give that option to as many people as possible, especially for this moment in time. This moment in time is so important. The money is here. Low interest loans are here. Other funding options are here. It's a great time. So many great companies have been built during economic downturns. So you can go to EIDL.me, EIDL.me. Most importantly, give this video a like. You've probably already done it, but if you haven't yet, give it a like, hit subscribe, turn on the alerts. Thanks so much for watching. Stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow.